And then when they're given evidence, you know, they like blame it on government conspiracy or some nonsense. It's like, oh man, you're really lost in the sauce. Like, how do we have a communication here? Nice and classy, I agree. But as you're probably aware, Smash, absolutely avoid moisture. Humid days, I wouldn't wear the watch on humid days. Ellie, when doing a full service, does that increase or decrease the wear of things inside since you touch them, etc.? So it's a bit paradoxical when it comes to, you know, does service increase the value of the watch? Well, maybe not paradoxical, but there's certain things that, you know, I think about when I'm looking at that. So when I look at a case back and I see that, you know, it's full of service marks where people have scribed on there, like it's, I guess not paradox isn't the right word, but like kind of like a catch-22. Generally speaking, the more service it's had, the better shape that it's, like you would think that, like the better shape it's going to be in because it's been kept up with maintenance. So they've kept up on the maintenance, right? So it should be like, should be a better machine. That's something that you would think of with like a car. Am I dropping frames? My stream keeps stuttering. 20% frame droppage. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, moving is certainly looking more appealing now because the internet here is, it's not enough. Anyway, what was I saying? But with a watch, you know, it's not like a one-to-one comparison because to service this, we need to completely disassemble it. So, assuming that that's being done, the process of that has inherent risk of, you know, operator error. There's that human element where it's like just taking things apart is going to risk damage, and it's more of an eventuality. You're never going to see a watch that has a full case back full of service marks where you're not going to see scratches or damaged screw heads. That's just, it doesn't exist. So it's one of those things, it's like, you see it with some pocket watches where, you know, the case back on the pocket watch is just, you know, full of service marks. It's been serviced 20 times or something like that, right? Which isn't too outlandish for watches that are over 100 years old, assuming they've been in use for most of that. Because back in the day, lubricants, like, they can't hold a candle to what we have nowadays, for one. So the lubricants broke down a lot faster than they do now, and for two, they weren't sealed up well like they are now. So you had contaminants getting into the watch. You had things getting in there that would, you know, just sort of taint the lubrication in there. So I took some NA websites won't even let me in coming from EU. Wow. It's so weird. A Jeep Pi should. Never mind. I shouldn't get into it. Mersh, that's a really nice watch. Congrats. He says the booklet has the same number as the caliber, and the box is from the same era for €220. Yeah, no, it's a solid dress watch. And realistically, if it doesn't get rusty, you know, it will last longer than you will. Seller has great prices and wears. Nice. We're all CGI. It's all CGI. Open your eyes. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, oh my gosh. Something happened in your brain. Arun, I came in at a weird moment. I was probably dipping my toes in the flat earth. I was hanging my feet off the ledge. As the ideas they come up with as evidence or theories, yeah, lol W. Pistic, but it's always humid. Hiccup for a second, but it's been good overall. Yeah, I keep seeing it flash, and it kind of sucks. Hey, Bob. Arun, the ads aren't dropping frames. Ain't that the truth? Hey, Sketty. We're on the EU Netflix is so much better. Yeah, VPNs, folks. VPNs. It's certainly worth it. Ellie, I understand. Thank you. Oh, for sure. So yeah, it's like one of those things. It's like you kind of want to see what I want to see typically is very small service marks. To me, that's just direct evidence that they have skill to write small. If they have skill to write small, maybe their dexterity is pretty decent. You know, it's a bit of a stretch, but what I don't want to see is a service mark that goes across and fills up like a large section of caseback, because that's really just bad etiquette. That's bad form. It's totally uncalled for. Monkman, that brings up a question. Is there a coveted watchmaker's repair mark that would make a watch worth more? That's pretty much it. Is you know good work when you see it. You know bad work when you see it. So typically good work when you see it is the screw heads themselves are in great shape. Now that doesn't always mean that the screws themselves are original. Sometimes they will get so bad they have to replace them. It's Fracked. Hey, proceeds to argue with moderator first time in chat. If there was, it would be forged everywhere. Mr. Horo was here. Yeah, that's a good one. Good service marks are my marks. The scratches that I make to your watch add to value. It makes it more coveted and rare. Collectors dream of seeing my scratches. Sketty hammer stamp markings. Smash I saw in a video, it's more and more frowned upon to mark the case back because you're basically adding damage. Yeah, I mean, it's controversial for some. For me, it's not. Because it's history. It's literally a service log. They've been doing it for hundreds of years, literally. It's for some, they don't want that, and that's okay. It's like they want to keep their own records, and that's totally fine. But guess what? That doesn't get handed down always. Over time, somebody's going to throw it out. They don't care. They're not going to throw out the case back. The service marks are pretty much there for watchmakers. That's really it. I put my initials, I put the date, because I guarantee my work. So when somebody brings a watch back and says, hey, you worked on this 6 months ago and it's not working, and then I open up the case back and I'm like, no, I actually worked on this 3 years ago. It's not working because you got water in it. You know, it's one of those things where it's like there is no room for argumentation there. Or, you know, it comes in and it's like a year and a half later and there's a screw loose. And it's like, of course I'm going to honor that, you know, because that's my mistake. Sure, sometimes the movements themselves, sometimes the screws themselves are prone to loosening over time. In certain instances, it's like you'll get a comeback where it's just like, I tightened the heck out of that thing. There's no way it's loosening up. And then it comes back again, and then you're like, okay, I need to do certain things in order to keep this screw tight because it's just a problem child. But I'm kind of snowballing there. Hey, Trix, thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. As per usual, I'm just catching up with chat here, so just addressing certain things here and there. You playing D2 Remastered? How was your stream? So yeah, we were just talking about how some people don't want the case back scribed on. What do we mean by that? After a watch is serviced, a lot of times the watchmaker will scribe a mark back here. There you can see one. Now this doesn't mean anything to me. R1000L. I mean, if there was a W and not an L, maybe that would make sense. But for me, what I like to see is not job numbers, because sometimes you're going to see some string of numbers and letters on the back where it doesn't make any sense to anybody. It makes sense to them and only them. So it's not very useful from a service record standpoint. So all you see is this number and arbitrary number, and it doesn't make any sense to anybody. So anyway, I'm just kind of repeating myself. But yeah, some people don't want you to scribe on the case back, and that's fine. But what ends up happening, and you see this a lot from modern manufacturers, is that factory work service, they're probably not going to scribe on the back. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. A lot of times what they're going to do is they'll put Sharpie back there. It's like, okay, that's great. But what happens when you clean that case back? That Sharpie is just gone. It just goes away. So this is why I like to make my scribe marks dang near invisible to the naked eye. A lot of times I can't read my scribe marks without magnification. So even though it's there, a lot of times it goes unnoticed. And also, there is the pocket watches you come across where it's rare, but I've seen it, where it's full back here. It's just full of scribe marks, and you like kind of struggle, like, well, where do I put mine? And that's, directly because a lot of people didn't make them small. A lot of people made them big, and they just sort of took a lot of real estate up back here. So, but yeah, whatever you prefer, it's okay. If I get in your watch and you tell me not to scribe it, I'm not going to. Sketty old AC furnace unit, old job. Calendar's back to the 40s next to it, showing oilings and filter changes. Pretty neat. See, I like that. I like to see that. Seeing service records makes me warm and fuzzy on the inside. Happens to me all the time. Still on the D2R train. Doing well with that. Nice. Gotta make some clips, do the dishes. I'll be lurking. Oh, for sure. Thank you. Smash, do I have an old pocket watch with marks? I have a lot of old pocket watches, and all of them have marks. CFT just sand out all the old marks with some emery paper. Then yours will be the only one. Yeah, the trouble with that is a lot of pocket watches the case itself is plated. And that's something else to consider, is that the movement that's in a pocket watch might not be the movement that all the scribe marks are pertaining to. Because it was very common, and I think there still is, a common element to people wanting to recase their pocket watches. But every now and then, you will see certain scribe marks like crossed off or etched off, or somebody just made like a bunch of nasty tool marks to get rid of something. And it that kind of raises even more questions, right? Club class, oldest watch you ever worked on? Probably late 1700s, early 1800s. I've worked on a few Fusée watches. If you don't know what a Fusée is, I highly recommend you look it up. They're very cool. And it's spelled Fusee, F-U-S-E-E. Holy crap, chat. Hour in and I'm finally turning a screw. So there's our freewheel, right? We were talking about 7750s and how they're unidirectional winding. So counterclockwise, it's not winding. Clockwise, on the other hand, it is winding. You can see how it's really easy for it to go in one direction, but then it starts to go in the other direction and it kind of stops. Rams Reef, hey, welcome. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. How we doing? How was your stream? Sketty, I have an old alarm clock made by the Waterbury Watch Company. Really dirty, needs work. Old alarm clocks are kind of fun to work on. Sometimes they need a lot of work though, like a 7 jewel pocket watch or 5 jewel. I think I got it Fusée in 1960. Yep. Yeah. If you look up the Fusée technology, in particular, it's kind of mind-blowing. And I can talk a bit about what that is. Basically, it's like a conical gear reduction system. So back in the day, metallurgy, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, metallurgy itself really wasn't that good. So finding consistency in your materials could make or break your watch. And so when it comes to mainsprings are going to be the battery, right? If your battery is kind of suspect, then your watch really won't run very good. But it wasn't just the materials, it's also the design of the spring itself. And a big factor of why the Fusée was created in the first place is the power delivery of the mainspring isn't consistent. So you wind up a watch, that spring gets nice and tight, and it's delivering power to your balance assembly, right? Down through the gear train into your balance assembly, your watch is running. What happens as that spring loosens up is the delivery of that power changes. So it's inconsistent. A lot of time it just sort of tapers off and gets worse and worse and worse. Less power being delivered down through the gear train. So that would affect the accuracy of the watch, that would affect the consistency of the watch, and enter the Fusée. So on top of all that too, we had lubrications. The lubricants back then just couldn't hold a candle to what we have now. Is there something else I'm supposed to be doing while this is... Let's dry those buttons off. Make sure the buttons are dry. Sorry, that's really high pitched, I'm sure. Okay. All right, we're good. So the Fusée just has a thin chain that connects to the mainspring and to the Fusée conical swirl system itself. So similar to a bike chain or a chainsaw chain, one end of the chain is anchored to the Fusée cone system itself, and the other end of the chain is anchored to the mainspring. So as that spring unwinds, the chain itself unravels down this cone system. Or does it ravel up? No, it ravels down, I think. And what it does is it's dynamically changing the ratio that the power is being delivered to it, of the power that's being delivered to it. So now, all of a sudden, your power isn't ramping off, like so drastically. That power has a little more consistency to it. A little more. It's got a lot more consistency to it. Anyhow. Liquid, can you repair anything? I have an interest in like all things mechanical, and if they're broken, I like to take them apart, see what it is that broke, why it broke. If there's, if I have the time, I like to see if there's any way of improving on what ended up breaking to prevent it from breaking again. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. Because it's something that I really can't shut off. I'm always trying to look at the efficiency of a machine and see if there's improvements that can be made. A lot of time that comes along with hubris and arrogance. Because to look at something that somebody spent possibly thousands of hours to engineer and to make assumptions like, I think I can improve this. It's like, it's kind of disrespectful to those that, came before. And it's a large reason as to why I don't like to make modifications to watches. When it comes down to it, to think that modifying something in here is going to make an improvement of some sort, you're maybe a little confused, maybe just misunderstood. Maybe your britches are a little bit bigger than they should be. Where am I at? Arun, it's a 1700 CVT. That's a good analogy. Yeah, it's, CVTs are constant velocity transmissions, I think, right? Constant velocity. Anyways, there's cones that straddle a belt. So as the speed changes, it's not like a regular transmission where you have sprockets and gears that are meshing. You've got cones that are straddling a rubber belt, essentially. And as your speed increases, the ratios change based off of how those cones are holding the belt that goes down along the sides of them. It's pretty brilliant. It's not incredibly efficient, though. At least last time I looked into them. Liquid, I have a 1967 Breitling Navitimer 806B AOPA edition. Broken mainspring, missing crown, missing second hand. Breitling doesn't fix them this old. Yeah, that's no big deal. This person they sent me to wanted to remove original parts and not give them back. Yeah, that's a big red flag, isn't it? Okay, so broken mainspring, no problem. Missing crown, you would be hard pressed to find an original Breitling crown. And if you do, it's probably not going to be cheap. So if you can source that crown, and if you got that crown in hand, then replacing it's not a big deal at all. And if the stem's gone, that's not a big deal at all either. Missing secondhand, really not a big deal. But if you're looking for like new old stock original Breitling Navitimer hand from 1960, that might be difficult to source. But having something that looks the part certainly wouldn't be difficult to come across. Pitstick, do you think you could service a watch using old-timey tools and lubricants only? Yeah, doing the old-timey lubricants thing, a lot of times they're rendered from animal fats. So the greases, a lot of time, might have like lard in it or something. Whale blubber, that sort of thing. I do like using old tools, and one of my favorites is this guy. Ye Old Bench Hammer. This was given to me by my dad, and it was given to him from the person that trained him back in the 60s. And this was given to that person by the person that trained them, turn of the century. So it's like, this is old, and it's been around, and it's been used, and I really love it. I really love old tools because a lot of times they were pretty high quality. My favorite little hand vise. It's an old guy. Probably handmade. Continuously variable. Thank you, thank you. Constant velocity. I'm thinking about the axles. Continuously variable. Wait, hang on. Let me get caught up. Had a self-winding Timex watch when I was a kid. Finally died after 15. It's probably serviceable. Hey, Uncle Bill. Man built it, man can fix it, man can improve it. That's true. Liquid is not disrespectful. People who are brilliant sometimes shine bright enough to blind themselves. Wow, that is really well put. Wow. I like that. That's impressive. Built humankind. Bluesy, hey, the whole picture for the design. Yeah. But also, realistically, it's like there's always that discrepancy between the engineer, the manufacturer, real world, wear characteristics. That develops over time, and a lot of times the engineer isn't going to be able to see that. So there are times where it's like, okay, it won't hurt to polish this, and that's a manufacturer thing. When we're looking at the wear of something, you're like, okay, that didn't wear very good because of not the way it was designed, but the way the manufacturer executed that design. Okay, let me get caught up and not get too stun locked. The screws would work better if they were blue. That's true, I see. Club Carl Sagan cited white watch engineering is attributed to non-believers in evolution. Watch requires a watchmaker, which is clearly less intricate as a butterfly, so everything requires a creator, right? Wow, that's really well put too. Chat, you guys are on it. I'm loving it. Continuously variable. Yeah, my bad. Confusing an axle with a transmission. I bought 5 watches the other day. I have a lot of time on my hands. Nice, Andy. IC cars have much fancier CVTs these days. That's true. We're talking about evolution. Certainly that technology has come light years. Although not Nissan, huh? Don't buy a Nissan with a CVT. From what I hear, it's not going to pan out well for you. I go with evolution, but hey, that's not religion, yeah. Liquid Breitling still sells crowns that fit for around 50, so that's oh, cool. Very good. So, yeah. The thing is that fitment isn't really the issue, but something looking the part is also a big concern. So say it's like steel, right? The alloys might be a little bit different. Say it's gold. One plating is going to age different than a different plating. But the list goes on there. Bluesy CVTs was permanent transmission used mostly in Vespa scooters and such. Now they're using CVTs in cars. Cut costs, I think. Okay, I thought that Breitling horological services person who does their old watches was super shady for saying that they wouldn't return any parts that they replace. Yeah, I mean, some manufacturers, that's their policy. Like, you're not going to get your parts back with Rolex, and I guess with Breitling as well. But I think with Omega, you're going to get your old parts back. But I think it's just aesthetic. So it's just outside stuff that they replace. If they replace the crown, the hands, the dial, case back, you know, maybe case even in extreme conditions or extreme circumstances. A lot of times they're going to give you those old parts back. They probably aren't going to give you movement related parts back that are probably worn out, and they end up replacing for usually that reason. When the watch gets warm, it smells like a barbecue. You know, you joke about that, but there actually is odors to older watches, and a lot of times it's not a pleasant barbecue odor. A lot of times the odor is rancid, spoiled meat odor. You get this with clocks, you get this with pocket watches. Sometimes you get lucky and there is no odor. But other times it's like, it's bad, like really bad. And with clocks, sometimes they get so stained. A lot of times, you know, the service person isn't going to take the movement out and clean it. They come for, you know, a checkup or a service or some issue that they're fixing. They're going to dump more lubricant on there, collect some money and go back, you know. And that lube is just going to drip off, drip down to the bottom of the clock. A lot of time is wood. It soaks into that wood. And now you're left with this tainted wood that really just needs to be burnt, you know, or just put in a landfill. Sometimes opening up old clocks is just like, oh my, like what died in here? And most of the times the owners, you know, either don't recognize it because they get used to the odor, or they just don't open up the back and actually take a sniff. So a lot of times, you know, they're completely unaware of that. For fuel efficiency, CVT lets you stay at the engine's peak efficiency pretty much all the time. Yeah, if the algorithms are right and if it's well designed, it can keep the engine at that efficiency, but a lot of time getting it up to that, there's going to be drivetrain losses. There's always drivetrain losses, right? Regardless of what you have, the most efficient transmission in the world is going to have drivetrain losses. And to my knowledge, CVT isn't very efficient. There's a lot of friction, a lot of waste. Lucaphase, you're a Proton user too. Yeah. Send you a signed email from our own Proton inbox. Oh, right on. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Proton. I always recommend it to people. A lot of times they don't bother, you know? They're just like, I've had this email for so long, I'm not gonna change it. It's like, okay. You know, it's vulnerable. You know? Like, that's a reality that we're in nowadays. Everything was made of quality materials back in the day. Now everything is made as cheaply as possible for the average consumer. Cost cutting is MOs for corporations. If you're not cost cutting, you're not staying competitive. And unfortunately, you know, the reality we live in is that you always got to be making a profit. And if you're not making a profit, then you're a failure and you get kicked off by the board. But it's just like, how much can you juice something before there's no juice left? And then you're charging your customer for air, you know? So it's like that constant profit. You always need to be doing more profit every year. It's not sustainable. It's just not. But the corporations, you know, even if you have a very level-headed CEO, if that company's public, they're not really in control, are they? It's the investors. The investors require that profit. You're not making profit, you're out. Look at it. Felt like the original parts of a vintage is different repair than parts from a recent watch. The original parts of a vintage is different repair than the parts from a recent watch. Yeah, everything ages just a bit differently. Club, is there not a Breitling watch that could send a distress signal via satellite? Yes, there is. Yeah, I think they had 2 models of it. Yeah, I've changed quite a few batteries in those. Very cool watch. I think they had it originally where it was just like, I don't know for sure, but like, they ended up adding like a subscription model to it. But it's a very real cost, right? That it actually makes sense. It's not like, the signal gets sent out and then you get a phone call. No, it's like you push that button, it sends out an emergency signal, much like, it would on like a boat or something. You've got that special box in a boat where it's like you get stuck out in the middle of nowhere, you need a rescue. That's what that watch, that's that signal that watch sends out. So each time you send that signal out, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. And rightly so. A lot of times they're going to send a freaking helicopter out to you. Makey yuck. Arun, it's literally a legal requirement in the U.S. The board has a fiduciary duty to the shareholders. Yeah. Yeah. Not saying it's not legal. It's very much, law. Here's the way it is. Industry starts from need or new invention. Expansion happens, supply chains expand, support the industry. Ancillaries, subsidiaries, sub-industry, once the competition all knows each other's secrets, the race to the bottom begins. Before expansion stops, the squeeze begins, price drop, same quality of product. Prices drop for the same quality of product. And then there's a step after, right? Quality of product drops, prices increase. Go listen to BlackRock and Vanguard. Hey, Tice. Turning Moon, hey, isn't that just survivorship bias? People make junk in every era. It doesn't survive for us to see. Steve Jobs never compromised quality over cost. Never run Apple into the ground. I have to love the attitude. Boating across the ocean would be an amazing adventure. Number 5, quality of products drop as profitability dwindles and corporations try to retain profits by sacrificing quality. And then automation, right? You cut your labor force because you make a machine that does the same work faster, never has to sleep, doesn't need benefits, doesn't need human rights or anything like that. But I think we also missed a step there too. Outsource. Reduce labor costs by outsourcing. Same thing happens in watch industry. That's why I don't recommend a 7S26 Seiko anymore. Bang for the buck, it was, you know, really, really hard to beat. But now they're made in Southeast Asia. And quality and quality control just dropped off the board. Oops. One more thing. We don't want parts left over, do we? So this is not really necessary, but we put it in anyways because it came out. But I wonder... Probably was original because it's like a very nice polish washer. A lot of times dial washers are necessities. You need that dial washer to hold something down. Usually it's going to be an hour wheel. Tice is right. Which company makes the best quality watches at the moment? Oh, there's a lot of high, good quality watches at the moment. Sennheiser HD25 headphones are some of the staple DJ headphones, some of the best. They recently moved production from Ireland to Romania. Quality seems to have dropped on both raw materials and build construction. Do they still have their factories in Ireland? I know like only their flagship, what, HD 800 or something like that. Now it's like what, 820 is actually made in Germany. But a lot of their product lineup was from Ireland, wasn't it? Shoot. These are the only Sennheisers I bought. It says R. R's for Romania, right? No. Normally it's gonna say it like right here. These ones don't. I have a few different sets of cans, so you know I'm a nerd. Audio nerd. And I think these are the 560S's. Great bang for the buck, I gotta say. But before that, I had Sony 7506. Did I get that number right? 7605s? I think it's 76. I don't know, I'm a little dyslexic. Anyways. I'm just like, we're working hard here, aren't we? It's been like this all week, which is great, you know? It is what it is. I like catching up with you guys, and it's been a week-long catch-up. Same brand, same product, same ownership, different supply chain. Same price? Product 15 years old, still sells, gotta find ways to make it cheaper. Yeah, race to the bottom. Yeah. When I was in elementary school in 1975, we were told 2,000 robots would do all the work and people would be paid by government. Spend endless leisure time. That worked out well. Oh, yeah. You have to include your budget. And yeah, now A bit dystopian, right? That was certainly utopian. You have to include your budget in a question like that. Yeah, no, that's true. Icy's, yeah, dead on. There's a sliding scale. Alkaiser X. Oh, PoE fan. Nice. I played a lot of PoE. Long time ago. China makes better fake Rolex than real Rolex. Not true. Germany and Ireland both had high quality production. You're an audiophile. I don't know what's been happening with Sennheiser since they sold off their headphone business. Late stage capitalism is playing out. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to. It's true. Arun, I think the flat washer is original part 2753. Oh, very cool, Arun. Thank you. Club Sennheiser are very respected in the late 70s, early 80s. They're still respected, I think. Although maybe a lot of their diehards probably lost some respect with them by moving facilities to Romania or something. I don't actually know. Okay. Good. So at this point, what we do... Actually, I want to clean the collet on this hour hand, I think. It's a bit schmutzy from what I remember. Yeah, it is. Let's do this. No, that's actually not going to show anything. Okay. Inside the collet, there's some old lubrication that turned green and got a little crusty. Yep, that helped. And now we spin the wheels and cycle the calendar. And I also want to take a picture at this point, because I'm gonna be selling this watch, hopefully. Don't have a buyer yet, but Who knows? Maybe it's one of you. Okay, starting to cycle. Right when it clicks over, that's going to be our midnight. I'm going as slowly as I can here. So that I can line it up just right. Yeah, let's put these on. Okay, it's looking very midnight. Favorite headphones are Bose noise canceling. Yeah, I have some Sony 1000 XM3s. Maybe I'm getting some numbers backwards. But yeah, I love them. Certainly not the best sounding. There's also DSP corrections that you can do to make them sound pretty good, but they're really nice having, like, if you're gonna be on a plane or a train and you just want to drown out that background noise. Way off. Gotta pull that sucker back up. Planes, trains, automobiles. If you get the fancy ones, call the cops and have your neighbors spray shut them. They work best with continuous noise like aircraft engines and wind. I've noticed the wind sometimes will actually make a reverberation of like bass. I think it's the wind going past the microphones that really throw it off. At least with the Sonys. Like you really hear it in phone calls. Remembered I wanted to take a picture. Mean wind noise on an air. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Oh God, what's the what's the picture formatting for eBay? Is it 3:4? Oh shoot, I think it is 3:4. Hey goggles. Generally best for continuous noises. Noise cancelling gear can also use band filtering. Cabin noise. Hey Fire, what's up? Sketty, first mic, headphones, first gaming PC I built in 2013. $8 RCA stereo mic combo, family dollar. It worked really well and lasted 3 years. Nice, that's good. Good use. When I'm mowing the lawn, I use an old set of Pelter aviation cans. Yeah, I was using my Sonys for mowing, and they're not bad, but just earplugs would certainly work better. Terry Moon Yacht. There's some Ear Pro that minimizes muzzle sounds, but I can still hear the RSO and brass dropping. Yeah, those are really cool. Where it's like you can still have a conversation with somebody without talking really, really loud. Current gaming mic setup. Use XLR dynamic mic. Ancient Yamaha XLR interface. Boom made from an old lamp. Yeah, that's exactly what my boom is from this. Yeah, you guys might remember. Oh wait, no, that was the white one. This one was from a lamp with a big magnifying lens on it. Oh, thanks, McDonald's. I didn't want to hear the rest of the reply. Ads are getting so bad. Big Berry, have you ever messed with like a $200 watch that wasn't your own? Big Berry, I've serviced hundreds of watches worth a whole lot less than 200. Maybe this isn't the best photo with the date like halfway changing. Whatever. Right. A little further. A bit more. Just tilt it forward a bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's blow that off. Aw, did it go backwards? Again? Let's spin it around, see what happens. I can make it a minute before, because our Sunday is still going to be cycling for another hour. I'm okay with a minute before. Pro level mic boom. It's better than mine. My spring broke on the left side here. Oh man. Like just broke off. I removed one, the other one just broke. Pop filter is a sewing hoop. Yeah, well done, Goggles. You gotta use what you have. Why buy something when you already have it? So with my cousin earlier, he had on a lovely IWC something. Would have got the name if I knew. It'd be here. Yeah, IWCs are nice. They really are. Might, how are hands held in place? Friction fit. Seems to be friction. Tight fit, yeah. Any aviation ones? Let me listen to ebooks while mowing. Club class, how do you remember how to reassemble everything? Do you take notes or video disassembly, or do you just have a photographic memory? Would you struggle repairing a toaster? A lot of it is experience, just doing it over and over. But that being said, I don't have any qualms with working on something that I've never worked on before. I actually quite enjoy it. But a lot of it's just repetition. Anything you do thousands of times, you don't even really have to think about it anymore. You just sort of go through the motions. Occasionally with complicated chronographs or watches with large amount of functions and features, upon disassembly I'll take a couple of pictures. But Yeah, I don't know. You take enough stuff apart and it just doesn't really become scary anymore. Fire day of the week change, why does it move very slightly for most of the hour and then snap all the way? So the snap comes from those clicks, those ratchet springs. Remember how when I was putting the spring on yesterday, I was saying it's really nice that they use one spring for both ratchets. And the idea of minimizing the amount of individual parts is typically always a good thing. But when it comes to the ratchet wheel for this watch, you can see this one is a very well executed ratchet spring. It's one piece. It's got a screw, whereas this one is just sort of pressed in place. But there's ways of making things simple and worse. Usually simplicity is always best, right? The KISS mentality, keep it simple, stupid. Usually it is. But sometimes, over time, certain wear characteristics develop where it could have been done better. But I went off on a tangent there. The snap all the way is because of that resistance for the ratchet, where the tooth of the calendar wheel itself is going past, and then it gets to past that point of peak resistance, and it slides right on past that ratchet. But not all calendar systems are going to snap into place. Hey, later, Elvis. IWC Big Pilot Chrono. That was easy. It's a nice watch. We recently did an IWC Top Gun. So memory, for the most part, yeah. Zebra, watch some videos on how they machine watch parts. Mine was blown. Okay, I'm gonna grab a snack. Maybe I'll make a shake or something. I don't know. I need to snack on something. Do I run a pre-roll before I go so that way we're all juiced up? What's the max pre-roll again? Was it half hour? So if I run 2 1-minuters, can I even do that? Anywho, let's take 5. I'll be right back. Yeah, I guess it was just 1 pre-roll maxes it out. Okay. Alrighty, and we're back. Club class, thank you for the bits. Thank you, thank you. Inspirational. Wow. It's a nice thing to say. But really, I'm, streaming not so much, well, maybe to inspire people to get into this. But yeah, thank you. I'm in the process of getting better at just accepting compliments. Usually I was always so quick to just be like, either ignore it, redirect it, bring attention to something else, be sarcastic, but yeah, I think it's important to just say thank you sometimes. Oh yeah, that's coffee. All right, cool. What are we doing? Where are we? I do have my car keys in my pocket. Oh, because my mic's in the way. That's fine. Getting comfortable and being comfortable while you do this work is tantamount. So you should ensure that if there's something getting in the way of your comfort, you address it. Real quick. Ooh, it's 100 degrees out there. I guess I can Google it real quick. What format for eBay? Maximum file size 12 megs. Don't scale up thumbnail images. Required PNG JPEG. Does eBay scale down image size if it is too big? Is there any eBayers in chat? I'm like trying to read my monitor because bench lamp is in the way. Guide and examples. Oh, please don't bring me to a video. Okay, thank you. Okay, their image policy. Must comply with size rules. Must have the rights to use the image. That's actually funny. People just put up like some stock photo. Minimum of 1 image per product. I feel like I've seen stuff for sale on eBay that doesn't have an image. Max number of free images is 12. Images must be of the product. Yeah, I've seen that as well, where it's like, should not show anything other than the product. That's in the listing, should or should not include. So that doesn't make sense because I should be able to take a picture of this to have under the product, for an image under the product, because it's directly related to that. Should not include borders, superimposed logos, barcodes, copyright marks. Okay, but what about formatting? Okay, here we go. Minimum size. So they're square. Minimum size is 500 by 500 pixels. Maximum is 9,000 by 9,000. If photo is JPEG, it should be 90 or higher on the JPEG quality scale. PNG, JPEG, TIFF, BMP, GIF. I don't know if I've seen a GIF for an eBay product. Should I do like a turning wrist of me wearing it? I don't know why that makes me cringe. When you go to like r/watches and they're like, here's the wrist turn. It's like the big reveal. I don't get that. I don't understand. You cannot use placeholder image. Okay, yeah, all right. So it just needs to be square. But does eBay do that for you? Like when you upload an image, can you automatically crop it? Do you YouTube as well? I've seen a few other guys on there. It seems a popular platform. I've been talking about it for years. I uploaded a couple of older VODs and the quality is what I had at the time. Terrible microphone, terrible cameras, but it's there. And I've got like a few thousand hours of VODs that I should upload and hopefully eventually will. It's slow going, but the thing is, I want to like listen to them beforehand, because if there's any like shrieking noises or loud noises in the background, if there's anything from chat that's, you know, didn't age well, or from myself that didn't age well, or maybe somebody gave some personal information that maybe they didn't want immortalized on the internet forever. These are things that I, you know, end up looking for to see if it is a VOD that I want to upload. Because sometimes, you know, a chatter will say something that gives out some information where the next day they're just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So with that in mind, it takes a while to go back over them. There's been times where, you know, I've just ended stream and then deleted the VOD because, you know, some things being said and talked about and discussed and chatted about were just not really meant to just be left there. So it's a pretty, like, what I've I don't like to talk about what I should have done, but, you know, in this sense, you know, going in retrospect, uploading directly the same day or that night really would have been optimal, but I was just spent, you know? Starting stream after working, by the time I'm done with that stream, I'm done. I'm like, I'm going home. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. And that's how it was originally. Was I was streaming from my work. Okay, it's warming up in here pretty quickly since I just closed that vent. Certainly makes the audio quality better. Spam. Goodbye. Arun, I'm more of an r/watch redacted fan for that reason. Too many people being too serious in our watches. It's kind of funny to me, but you're totally right. But in my experience, it is a bit of a snapshot of the elitism that comes along with watch collectors, watch consumers. It's not uncommon to find people that are very snooty or snobby, or they'll turn their nose up to whatever it is that you're wearing, you know? Whereas for me, I like to celebrate all of it. Everything has its own place. You know, it's all relevant, you know? And it all has, they all have their quirks. Just a suggestion, I know making videos is extremely time intensive. Good. Yeah, I hadn't even like considered what it would take to actually cut a video, like, because I have zero experience with that for one, so I certainly could fumble my way through it. But the videos that I do want to make are much more pointed. And definitely this sort of format isn't super conducive for YouTube videos, right? Where it's like live Q&A, sharing, you know, repair that's taking a long time. What else, you know? So yeah, that, like, I was just considering, like, what happens in the event of a hard drive failure? Is it gone forever, you know? Not to say that a lot of the VODs aren't going to be useful or helpful for people. I certainly think, you know, there would be a lot of people that were looking for more information about a specific watch. And seeing it serviced could be valuable to them. Oh God, it was a spam call. Or maybe, just maybe, there's somebody in the industry that was servicing a watch and they were having difficulties or troubles with something. And to see somebody do it and go through it, there might be some, value there for them. And another thing could be future potential, where what about someday I want to stream on YouTube instead of Twitch, or if I want to pull out of the partnership so that I could dual stream. Minute early. I'm okay with that. And the day of the week's already cycling. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let's try it where it's actually running on its own. Oops, I was too fast. Too fast for you, 7. Oh, just clicking the calendar. It's going to be a little tricky to test. Yep, just that amount of activity with clicking the crown in. Here, let's see if there's... I don't want to wait 10 minutes to watch it click over, so I want to get it close. Nope, that was too quick. So why do I do this? Why not trust that first one that I did? I guess I'm real, a bit anal about this, but me personally, it's nice to have it, say, within plus or minus 2 minutes of midnight where that calendar clicks over. 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after, I think that's just too late. Or too early. And with a little bit of dialing in, you can certainly get it really, really close. Some platforms, I can get them within seconds, which is pretty amazing considering it's just all mechanical, right? But the reason that I do this, where we just let time pass to see where the date changes, is because that's real world. Whereas spinning it by hand, what you're doing is you're going faster than it actually would. And what that's going to do is you'll end up getting that cycle to change where it's going to be off. Am I actually running right now? Yeah, okay. We can see the seconds passing. But yeah, that's why I slow down with the crown. Is because if you just zoom through it and stop right when it clicks, you're almost certainly going to be minutes off. YouTube videos more time compacted. I think people are happy just to chill and chat for hours on YouTube. Expect a full overhaul condensed into 20-minute video. It's very different, totally. Club, I like the Twitch format better, so I'm listening to you and working on my own stuff. YouTube is more intense. Yeah, I totally get that. During Moon Yacht, I need to take off now. Thanks for the stream. Oh, for sure. Thanks for tuning in. Been fascinated with the concept of time travel. Yeah, we're all kind of time travelers, aren't we? Oh, it clicked over already. That's way too early. I wonder if it was just the 9, so let's see. It already started cycling right when we got close to 11, so I think I am a little premature here with my hand settings. Nah, it was just the 9. It was just the 9. We're good. So we'll cycle ahead, see what the next one's like. Okay, this one started to engage before 11, so this one might be a little early. This one was a little after. So yeah, I mean, the calendar wheel itself has some variation. I think we're okay. Now we'll move the hands out of the way and do the chronograph stuff. So we'll start and stop the chronograph. And reset it. So with our chrono reset, we know where these hands should be. We know where they're supposed to be. But even then, we've got to cycle it to test it. Oh, look at our sweep second just cruising around. It's not even pressed in place. I want to push that sucker on, but I need to pull the stem before I do. So I mix and match there a little bit because of, call it looseness or call it tension. Not C-A-L-L, C-O-L-L. And what I mean by that is, with these being friction fit, first one that I put right here on the hour register was so loose that you put it on and it just about drops right to the bottom. So it didn't have any friction to hold it in place. And there's enough variance here where a couple of tenths of a millimeter are going to make a difference. Big difference. Time does speed up as you get older. Explanation I heard is that when year is worth a tenth of your life, and a year is, as long as time you get older, a year becomes a lesser fraction. Time speeds up. Dude, a year is nothing. It's a blink, right? Hey, Munchie. Yeah, it can literally just, you blink your eyes. You're like, oh my God, I'm a year older. Another birthday. What happened? Nope. Okay, we'll do our sweep as well. Couldn't hurt. Not the way I want to do it. But that is okay. Okay, and then we make sure that all the hands clear each other. And that's why a big chunk is missing out of this one, is because right there, somebody spun the hands around and didn't adjust the hands properly, and it actually took a bit out of the minute hand. So I'm going to give it a little more clearance. By lifting the back of that hand up. So yeah, here's where you can see that there is plenty of space in between the two there. Plenty. But you can see around that back end, I've actually lifted it up already. It was sloped down in the back. So the back of the hand itself, the second hand, was making contact with the minute hand. You can see there's a bit of a divot there, a bit of a chunk removed. All right. Mass Flash, Aurora Lee, and Agent Smith, welcome. Thank you for the follows. Isn't that going to touch the inside of the crystal? Nah. Nope. But that's a really great point, is that you don't have to worry about, I mean, you have to worry about more than just the clearance of the hands itself. You also have to consider the clearance of the crystal. Yeah, that's a lot better. We'll spin them around again. Nice air gap. Hold it like that. You can see how it had self-clearanced at some point. So on top of that, I'm also going to move our minute hand down a bit. Not down, actually forward, because it has plenty of clearance with our hour hand. Yeah, just like that. Okay. And before you make hand adjustments, though, you probably want to make sure that they're actually where they're supposed to be. We'll let this run a little bit and reset it. Am I dropping frames? I'm dropping frames. Do I have to go tell people to stop using the internet? It's not getting any better. Can you grind down a crystal to remove scratches? You certainly could, but it's so labor intensive. It really doesn't pay to spend the time to do that, unless it's an acrylic crystal or a plastic crystal. If it's mineral glass, definitely sapphire. It just makes more sense to just pop out the crystal and pop in a new one. Ron, they'll just buy more frames. I mean, it's literally, that's like a solution. It's just like, Download more RAM. Like that might actually, I might be able to call the ISP and be like, upgrade me. Upgrade me, daddy. But it's really expensive internet. Mind you, how much does a can of frames go for these days? Well, I get a monthly supply of what is it? I think our service is currently 10 down and 2 up. Is that right? Is it 10 down and 2 up? 10 down and 4 up? 15 down and 4 up? Something like that. For like 110 a month. Yep. Strag, I think there's a bundle deal with cable TV. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, say you got Comcast or Charter, right? You just want their internet service, right? That's like all you want. Do you think they're okay with that? No. Every single month they're gonna send you like either like a bait piece of mail in a standard envelope, you know, where it's like emergency on the actual envelope itself, and then you open it up and it's just like literally a pitch for like, hey, buy our telephone service, buy our cable service. We have more services. Did you know? Did you know? We have more. Don't you want more? Look at what you get. It's really like, it's so annoying. When I had a Spectrum, literally that's what it was. And one of the times I called them up and I was like, hey, like, I'm having an issue with my service, X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, great. Is there anything else we can do for you? And I was like, yeah, stop sending me mail. I don't want your mail. I don't want your phone services. I don't want your TV services. I don't want anything else except internet, please. Can you just stop sending me stuff? Like, that would be great. And the person just like laughed. Arun, oh look, an Xfinity ad. Jeez, these algorithms, I tell you. These algorithms. Okay, my internet's still crapping on me right now. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can shut the TV off and see if that'll make it better. Okay. Maybe. I'm still showing red, but my bit rate's high, which is good, but it's bouncing all around. Solar flare issue? That, you might actually be right. But this has happened before. When there wasn't a whole lot of like solar flare activity. And it could certainly be my ISP. Cause we're like on a ranch Wi-Fi sort of deal here, right? Where it's I think it's like radio waves or something. Shoot. Let's just roll with it, shall we? What else can I do? Sometimes it's wasted effort with them. Oh no, it really is. Like me saying something to them like didn't actually do anything. I get those straight to the trash. You can always tell because I think legally they're not allowed to put like those like labels on the outside of the envelope, like, you know, like act now, like limited time offer, or like emergency, like priority first class, like limited, you know, if they're putting something on the outside of the envelope, I think they legally have to change the color of the envelope. So a lot of times you know, they literally mix it up all the time. There's like light blue, and then there's like beige, and then there's yellow, and then there's like an orange, and then they go through all these different colors on the envelope, and it's like immediately, right away, luckily, you know, you can always tell that a white one is usually going to be something that's actually like important, that actually has something to do with something else. But I don't know if that's actually the case. It was just something that I noticed with Spectrum. Look at what you get. All the stuff you don't need and put you into debt. I agree to receive promotional information. Is in the fine print. Rondo, it takes a minute for Streamlabs to update the drop frames. I'm using just OBS, not like Streamlabs OBS. It's still in the red. Free range frames. Final notice, that's another one as well. Yeah, they'll just like try to bait you into opening it any which way they can. I've been complaining a lot about corporations lately, haven't I? Okay, the second and the minute are spot on, but the hour is slightly off. What can I do though? I mean, of course, Of course I'm gonna be angry. I feel like they're literally running the planet and they're running it into the ground. They don't care. So long as they make profits, they don't care. They have human rights. I don't get it. It really bothers me.